This flight was particularly tense. Destination, Jamaica, and the vital first test. Atherton decided to put himself in the firing line and bat first on a pitch which looked more like an ice rink and seemed tailor-made for the West Indian fast bowlers. But for the second time in 4 days, England, largely thanks to Alex Stewart's 70, looked to be on top. However, as regular followers know only too well, when England's batting collapses, it does so in style.
350 is a minimum first innings score on a good batting track like that, and you're thinking 400 puts you in with a good chance of applying some pressure. But you know, you must always tell yourself at the back of the mind, if you're 121 for none, if you just had 2 wickets mentally, you know, the situation doesn't quite look so rosy. And that's what happened. We lost wickets in clusters. We got to 170 for 3 and then lost 3 quick wickets again. And there were a few too many sloppy shots, too many easy wickets really for Test match cricket.
From 121 without loss, England were all out for 234. The West Indies were quickly 23 for 3, but a certain Brian Lara was waiting in the wings.
Well, I played against him 6 years ago when we were both 19 in the Youth World Cup, and I was captain of England, he was captain of the West Indies. So, but in between then I haven't seen very much of him, but I realise he's a highly talented player. And in fact I hadn't seen too much of all the left-handers, Atherton and Adams as well, who both played very well.
The left-handed trio of Lara, Atherton and Adams snatched the game away from Mike Atherton as the West Indies built up a commanding lead. There was little warning of what was to follow, which proved to be one of the more controversial moments of the tour.
We've had 3 months of preparation and I knew exactly what coming to the West Indies was all about, and up till then, apart from perhaps against the Leeward Islands in Antigua, we'd not seen too much hostile bowling. When Monday night came about and Courtney slipped himself into his 14-over spell, it was what Test cricket's all about in the West Indies. I've no complaints. As a top 6 batter, you must have the courage and the technique to handle it, and I was very happy to do that. You won't find any of our top 6 batsmen complaining about that.
It was a ferocious onslaught, but rather surprisingly, there did appear to be a moment of light relief.
Well, he hit me the ball before, and I'd sworn that basically at myself for taking my eye off the ball, and I think he got a bit upset thinking I was swearing at him, so I was just politely pointing out I wasn't.
Had Atherton survived just one more ball, Walsh would have been out of the attack. Part of the West Indian game plan is to deliberately target the opposing captain, and they knew the psychological effects his dismissal would have on his teammates. It had been a thorough examination of his technique, not to mention his bravery, and Atherton knew there were still 2 months and 4 tests to go.
Enjoyment's probably the wrong word. I got into it in that session. I was quite enjoying it. I was quite relishing the challenge. You know, there was a game to be saved from our point of view. And Courtney is a high-class fast bowler, was bowling as well as he can. So, from a cricketing point of view, it's a very challenging time. I was just sorry I wasn't quite up to it in the end.
2 hours later, and the England captain socialises with the opposition at yet another cocktail party. It's a testimony to international cricket that the players will freely mix after play. But as Devon Malcolm discovered, hostilities were immediately resumed in the morning when Walsh's barrage prompted banner headlines and criticism of the independent umpire from Zimbabwe.
The viewing was fairly plain for everybody to see, and the intent was there. No more needs to be said.
Walsh was bowling at a length that was just bouncing above the stumps, and he was taking his eyes off the ball, and I think that when you do that, you're going to be in trouble. I think regardless of whether you're batting at 1 or 11, you've always got to watch the ball.
Maybe Alex Stewart should have watched the ball a little more closely. His run-out prompting England's second innings decline to 155 for 6, as England's hopes of saving the first test all but evaporated.
He's gone. He's got behind. Gone. That's all the way through Graham Thorpe.
Graham Hick was regarded by many as a risky choice for the tour because of his poor record against fast bowling. Atherton publicly backed him last year against Australia, and now when the chips were down, Hick repaid him for that vote of confidence. He battled his way to 96 before facing this delivery from Kenneth Benjamin.
That's in the air and he's gone. Brilliant catch by Harper at second slip, so it's not to be.
Hick's dismissal ensured that there wouldn't be a repeat of England's heroics here 4 years ago when Graham Gooch's team pulled off a remarkable victory. The first test match of any tour is vitally important, but this one seemed to be even more so because of the inexperience of the England team and the fact that the West Indies are usually slow starters. The West Indies completed their 8-wicket win in a deserted Sabina Park off only 32 balls on the final day. And while England may not have impressed everyone on the field, they're at least proving to be a hit off it.
They're friendly.
Friendly night.
Especially like people like Graham Thorpe, Alex Stewart, Jack Russell. The skipper is okay.
There was more bad news when, out of the blue, Devon Malcolm was flown home for knee surgery. I felt they should have called up a replacement, but they didn't. Malcolm returned later, but wasn't considered fit enough for the tests. You tend to learn lessons the hard way in the Caribbean.
I mean, I was batting on Monday night, but they tell me that the dressing room was very quiet and silent on Monday watching it. That's what Test cricket's all about in the West Indies, and for people who haven't been here before, they know that now, and they must steel themselves against what's to come.
South American continent and a rare day off. But back home, the demand for that back page photograph is as keen as ever. The management had a course in media relations before they left England.
It's not something I especially enjoy, but it's kind of regarded as an ever-increasing part of this job. So you just get on with it. You know, there's ever-increasing numbers of journalists and photographers who come with us these days on tours. So if you're struggling to come to terms with it, you're knackered, really. The hardest thing I've found is to keep all members of the touring party happy, particularly on an itinerary like this where there's not so much cricket outside the internationals. And we've got 17 players. It means 6 players are not playing cricket. And they're all players who you think are good players because you picked them in the first place. And you're all happy for them to play, but at the end of the day, you can only pick 11, and you have to make a judgment. And sometimes that judgment's just an instinctive thing, and it's very difficult to explain to players why they're not playing. And that's what I've found the hardest thing so far. This is the most important part of the tour for me, because if we can get back into it in either Guyana or Trinidad, that will give us a lift for the last 2 games. But obviously if we don't do so well in these 2, and we're going to where the West Indies are traditionally strong, in Barbados and Antigua, it's going to be very difficult to kind of pull it back there. So naturally I hope that we play well here, and Trinidad's a result wicket, and anything could happen there.
Those fateful words would come back to haunt him, but for now, before the second test, there were mounting worries about the form of England's most experienced batsman, Robin Smith. He rediscovered his touch, making 84 as he and Atherton put on 171 after England had been in terrible trouble at 2 for 2. Atherton led the way with 144.
I'm the type of person who plays better, and I don't think so much about my batting. In the past, when you've not got the worries of captaincy, it's easy to get too focused on your own game and start worrying too much about your own form, and perhaps the other responsibilities that were there with captaincy meant that really I just went out and batted without thinking too much about it, and I find that helped. And also as a captain you feel a responsibility for your own team, and perhaps that increases the levels of your performance.
It was Atherton's most significant innings for England so far. Much of the media attention before the match had been focused on Mark Ramprakash. He had been called in to play his first test match overseas, filling the unenviable number 3 position in the country of his father's birth. Ramprakash was keen to see as much of Guyana as he could.
It was a very emotional moment for me because I still have family here in Guyana, and you know, my father left over 30 years ago to come to England, and for us to be back, well, for my father to be back here watching me play, you know, it's hard to explain really. It just means a hell of a lot.
Sadly, there was a sting in the tail as Ramprakash fell to his 6th ball for just 2. Great disappointment for Ramprakash Sr., but it wasn't such a wasted trip for Chris Lewis's family. They had travelled from London to watch the enigmatic England all-rounder return to the country of his birth.
Oh, brilliant catch, Chris Lewis.
Meanwhile, England's bowlers were still struggling to adapt to the West Indian conditions. Jeff Arnold, the specialist coach who had just been sacked from his position at Surrey, was flown in to rectify the problem. Having a fully equipped television studio on site was a tremendous help as the players were able to see their faults for themselves, and Angus Fraser would eventually take full advantage of Arnold's advice and the modern technology.
In the West Indies, I think you have to learn to bowl a line. It is so important. I mean, that is the difference between Ambrose and all the other fast bowlers in the world. You have to play every time. And, you know, then suddenly he uses his height, his rhythm, and the ball kicks from a good length and he gets another wicket. I think that's what you have to do. You have to learn to bowl a line, slip the ball, stop pounding it on an innocuous surface.
Torrential rain has ruined Guyana's reputation as a test venue, but the enthusiasm amongst the locals hasn't been dampened. Brian Lara gave them a memorable exhibition of his very special talent, making 167 as once again the West Indian batsman took control. Jimmy Adams, who had been stranded on 95 in Jamaica, managed to complete his first Test century and give Nottinghamshire's supporters something to look forward to this summer. Test selection is a ticklish subject in the Caribbean, where the many countries fiercely campaign for their own cricketers. Shivnarine Chandapol's family turned out in force to support the 19-year-old, whose selection had prompted accusations of tokenism.
Well, it's a nice time to come into a side when they're winning, when they've got plenty of confident players around them, and when, you know, he's in fairly good form himself. So, in stark contrast to the situations that some of the England players at a young age find themselves coming in. But there's nothing you can do about that. You have to bring young players in sometimes, and if the side isn't winning, they have to come in a losing situation and take it upon themselves to try and turn that round.
Chandapol made 62, while his opposing captain on the recent under-19 tour of England didn't play one first-class match last summer. The West Indies lead by 234.
And bowled it is, and that's his 200th Test wicket.
After his century in the first innings, Atherton's fourth ball duck put the skids under his team as Kirtley Ambrose sniffed the chance of victory. Robin Smith was also unable to repeat his heroics of the first day, and when it was wrapped up by Courtney Walsh, the West Indies had won by an innings and 44 runs to go 2 up in the series with 3 still to play.
Tempted Yorker, became a full toss. Caddick's after it. Don't think he's going to get there.
Full toss in the pad. Well, Desmond Haynes capitalizes on those every time.
Fine shot from Desmond Haynes, and that's gone all the way. Chris Lewis dropping short, and Desmond Haynes just rocks onto the back foot.
The ball gets quite close to Alex Stewart down at long leg.
Not to mention taking advantage of the odd full toss. Ramprakash is out there, it's a long way across.
That's a delicate stroke. Beautifully played by Haynes.
Yes, you don't see many players in international cricket playing the late cut. Most of them back cut, square cut. This play very late, using the pace of the ball and playing it at the last possible moment.
He's bowled him leg stump. Haynes looking to pull it, and the ball flipping through, taking the leg stump, and England are jubilant. The first West Indies wicket gone for 66, and Desmond Haynes out for 38.
Well, it looked like a good ball to me as if it ran on quite quickly and did him for pace. It did. It was a top spinner. Beautifully bowled, well thought out, directed well, and thoroughly deserved by the bowler. That was a good delivery.
That is magnificently timed. It was a little bit in the air, but he hit it beautifully.
It's up in the air, and that's going to be 4. There we go, that's high. Ramprakash underneath it, but just over the top of the man at square leg. So Richardson takes on the challenge. Gets 6 runs for it, but that was so close to Mark Ramprakash.
Yes, that didn't go a long way over Mark Ramprakash's head. Perhaps if he hadn't started to come in.
That's runs for Lara, 4 of them.
it's at the end of the over that the England bowlers are really tested stamina-wise.
Oh, that's a flashing Richardson drive. That'll bring the crowd to its feet.
Not quite perhaps as he intended. Didn't quite go off the meat of the bat, but it's bisected those two fielders in the cover point region.
Well, that's Lara at his most dangerous. It was in the air through mid-wicket, but well wide of Alex Stewart. England have to keep on battling away.
That's out. Dropped. My goodness, you could not want an easier slip catch than that. You just could not ask for an easier catch than that. Graham Thorpe, the slipper. Well, he was appealing, and that's on from the under edge for 4. Found the gap. Outfield is fast, so is Stewart, but the ball will win this one. 4 more. Well, this was a gamble which Atherton was taking, and it's just proved the pressure valve.
I think he'll have to put a man back. He can't keep giving Richardson 4 for a long hop. I know you don't normally set...
And Richardson too, also sweeping away. And this time he'll get 4 for it. A little bit more power in that particular shot. So 2 costly balls at the end of the over for Salisbury. Oh, just past Mike Atherton's outstretched arm at Gully. And also just past Angus Fraser's boot. That's an area where Richardson has shown some vulnerability early in the series.
Yes, on most occasions when Richardson does attempt to play that shot, that left leg of his doesn't really come across, and you can see there no movement in the feet, and the ball just sliding off the outer half of the bat in the air past Atherton.
That's a fine shot from Lara. Beautifully straight. Whistles past Ian Salisbury and Steve Buckner.
We haven't seen too many of this from Brian Lara. That one was beautifully struck. Used his feet, got to the pitch of the ball. As a matter of fact, got to the ball before it pitched, turned it into a full toss and struck it beautifully past mid-on.
Full toss right in front. And he's gone. Yes, Steve Buckner decides after due deliberation that Richie Richardson's on his way. A terrible ball. Big full toss, which Richardson wanted to leave nestling in the Descenter stand away at mid-wicket. Instead, he's on his way back to the pavilion.
For the second time we have seen this now, with batsmen trying to hit the ball a lot harder than normal, missing completely, landing right on the right thigh, straight in front of the stumps.
Oh, that's close as well. Chris Lewis round the wicket, gone, yes. Brian Lara is given out by umpire Venkatraghavan.
Well, we saw Chris Lewis bringing that ball back into Lara previously. This time, ball perhaps bouncing a bit high, hitting Lara just over the pad there, but certainly heading towards the stumps.
Oh, that's a great catch! Jimmy Adams has gone! Robin Smith at Silly Point. What a chance taken!
Well, I was just murmuring to myself and thinking that Jimmy Adams is due for a failure. He's had a wonderful series so far. Pushed it firm off the middle of the bat, but straight to the man, and a very smart catch.
There's a big appeal and he's gone! Lewis is running hot, and England do have the breakthrough.
Yeah, good delivery. It's caused difficulties for the batsman. The left-handers coming around the wicket. This ball seemed to keep a little bit low to me, and he did a Keith Atherton for length. He plays back to a fairly fullish length delivery there. Really should have been forward, and I think that was an easy LBW to give for the umpire.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good shot by Chanderpaul. Using his feet and taking the battle straight back to England.
Very quick, nimble feet, just a little shuffle, and then clips it, not too hard, but picked his spot and just placed it straight on the onside.
That's not a great shot by Chanderpaul. He's got a oh, he's got 4 for it, and that is criminal by England.
Have the worry about the over 8. And another horrendous piece of fielding. This really is a bogey ground for England in the field.
Everything might be leaving him.
He's played that very confidently, wide of mid-on. These West Indian batsmen not afraid to leave their crease and get down the pitch. Oh, that's a mistimed shot. It's beaten Caddick into the fence. That really is tough on Ian Salisbury. He got the better of Junior Murray there, but the ball's still going away to the boundary. And the West Indies just getting off the hook here.
Not a control shot at all, but they say if you're going to cut hard, so that when it hits the edge, it's liable to go almost anywhere.
He's put that away well, fractionally short. This young man has shown tremendous temperament in a difficult situation. He's bowled him, he's right through him. So Fraser gets the wicket, and Chanderpaul is out for 19, and the West Indies are 201 for 6.
Well, finally Angus Fraser gets the reward for what's been a very hard day's work for him. Angled in and beating Chanderpaul's push.
Anywhere in the slot where he fancies it, he might as well throw the bat at the ball.
That's a brilliant delivery from Angus Fraser.
See, if you watch this ball, you'll see that it kept quite low. It was a good ball, but it kept fairly low in bounce. That's why I say there's a bit of uneven bounce in the pitch, a bit in it for the seamers. It doesn't get up a great deal. Look, that's hitting halfway up the stump. He played down Bakerloo, the wrong line.
Well, that's what happens when you bowl a no ball. When you're tired, the last ball of the over is cannon fodder, even to the likes of Curtly Ambrose.
Over the top from Curtly Ambrose. It's going to be 1 bounce, 2 bounces, and down to the fence. Loves playing that shot, Curtly Ambrose. Question is, how many chances will he get to do so? 233 for 7.
Well, this shot was a much better shot by Curtly Ambrose. Not a half volley by any way, but it was a little bit further up to the bat. Curtly Ambrose just playing through the line again. It wasn't a slog, just a well-placed shot.
That's out. That'll do nicely indeed. Curtly Ambrose hanging around for confirmation. But Graham Thorpe has taken that right on top of the grass at first slip. The nick goes, and so does Curtly Ambrose.
That's the line that Angus Fraser has been trying to bowl to Curtly Ambrose. The length before was too much up. On that occasion, right into the hands of Graham Thorpe. It's 2-4-1 for 8, the West Indies.
Very edgy again from Junior Murray. Make contact with that shot. He's made contact with that and found the gap. It's a chase there for Atherton and Ramprakash. And a futile chase at that.
Got into the boundary well ahead of the fielders. Found the gap beautifully there.
was certainly a full swing of the bat from Kenny Benjamin. Well bowled, Angus Fraser. Yes, studious defence wasn't enough this time, and that's Angus Fraser's 4th wicket. Dead straight, coming back through that defensive shot, and that's the end of Kenny Benjamin.
Yes, Angus Fraser finally getting his rewards. Coming a bit late in the innings, but better late than never. Right through the gap, perhaps even before the bat had gotten in place.
Oh, that's very close indeed, and out, and that is the end of the West Indies innings. I hope at the end of their winnings as well. Courtney Walsh having a huge swing there at Chris Lewis, right up in the block hole, dead straight. And Courtney Walsh has reclaimed that number 11 spot all for himself.
That was a good delivery from Chris Lewis. Those are the sort of deliveries that you tend to bowl to number 11s.
That's a good shot by Atherton. Another long chase for Adams. It's going to be nip and tuck who wins it. Could well go for 4, and indeed it does.
There's Alex Stewart going in very similar fashion to his dismissal on the last day of the previous test match. Playing back, the ball keeping just a little bit low, and Curtly Ambrose strikes for the West Indies. With Stewart going, England are 16 for 1.
Well, I hate to be repetitive, but I've kept on saying through the Guyana test match, England's batsmen must get a bit more forward. This ball keeping low. As I mentioned in the pitch report, a little bit of an uneven bounce.
That's very well struck. That's 4. That is a superb stroke by Atherton.
It's a very fine-looking shot from Mark Ramprakash. That'll give him some heart. He's found life in the Caribbean. Very tough going.
Well, so far the short balls haven't been working because they haven't been able to get this ball to bounce up into the shoulder region where it's very uncomfortable. That ball bounced at the perfect height for that pull shot from Mark Ramprakash.
Well, that's the best shot England have played this morning. It's come from the bat of Michael Atherton.
No real aggression there from Michael Atherton at all. Just beautifully stroked through the offside. Look at this timing. Just a push. At the full face of the bat. As Jeffrey Boycott would say, you can see the maker's name. Very good shot indeed.
It's in the air for a while, but it'll go all the way to the boundary. Chanderpaul, no chance of cutting that off.
That's a fine shot from Atherton. No real point in chasing that one. Not so comfortable that time. Really fending that ball away, but getting 4 for it nonetheless. That's flicked away. That's going to be several. Several on this occasion being 4. That's a great shot from Mike Atherton. Absolutely dead straight down the ground, beautifully timed. 4 beautiful runs.
Well, he's batting beautifully today. A real lovely, crisp, straight drive. Well, he's reminiscent of how he batted in Guyana. When he hits his shots, he times them. And his placement's been good, front foot or back foot. The weight's going forward all the time. He doesn't make a big stride always, but he gets the foot forward and keeps the weight going forward.
And this could be out. It is. So Winston Benjamin strikes. Huge top edge from the Ramprakash pull, and England have lost their 2nd wicket.
I think you might find that this ball hit the bottom of the bat. Ramprakash seemed to play his shot a lot too early, and the ball hitting the toe of the bat and going straight up in the air.
At an average of over 66. And that's almost a chance to Richardson, but 4.
Fun, but it's a quite interesting game.
Big appeal. Now then, they think they've got him, and they have. Atherton departs the scene with a rueful look down the wicket, and he's gone for 48.
Well, the West Indian fielders were totally convinced of this one. Let's have a look and see exactly what this touched. Mike Atherton didn't look all that convinced. Yes, it does seem as if it had hit the inside edge.
And dropped! Richardson's parried it into Lara's face and dropped.
And that's a beautiful shot. It's gone in the air to where third slip might have been, and Ambrose is very disgusted that he didn't get a touch on the ball.
Big appeal and out! Ambrose has got him, and it's Smith that departs.
And again, the bogey works. Richard Richardson leaves the field. Desmond Haynes take over the captaincy, and the West Indies get another wicket. Well, as I've said in Guyana, is Desmond Haynes such a lucky captain? There is no complaint about that one. Plumb in front. England now 115 for 4.
2 to Rifle, 1 to McDermott. And just in front of first slip.
In the head, the ball won't get that high that early.
4 runs there, no doubt about that. Kick on it like a flash.
Well, that's a fine shot, half volley down the ground for 4. And that will give him immediate confidence after the tea interval. Australia. Well, that's a great shot. Tremendous stroke by Thorpe.
Oh, big shout from Courtney Walsh, and he's given. Just at the crucial moment yet again, Courtney Walsh drags up a little extra energy, a little extra pace, gets through Graham Hick's defence.
To Chanderpaul. That's short and 4. That's an even better shot from Thorpe. Atherton in hot pursuit, but even he hasn't got the legs to stop that one. He's very quick onto those short deliveries, and this innings of Thorpe's beginning to blossom. 38 not out now.
Kenneth Benjamin pitching too short again. Not enough bounce or pace in this pitch. And with the ball getting softer by the minute, coming off a lot slower.
That's a good shot by Thorpe. That'll rush away for 4.
Well, it looks as if Graham Thorpe is sensing the moment. As I mentioned, 67 overs this ball is. It's old. Doesn't bounce a lot. This is when you cash in, when you get the bowlers down, when you get them tired.
That's well hit. Very well struck. Full square leg for 4. So many of the England boundaries today have come with the pull shot. The pitch is slow.
Thorpe growing in confidence every minute, and that's been a very productive shot for him. Every time the ball has been short and not a genuine bouncer, Thorpe's gone for the pull shot, and Venkat having to do a quick shimmy.
Well, Kirby Ambrose strikes on the back foot. Jack Russell stumps knocked over. England 249 for 6.
Well, I kept mentioning, and I did in the pitch report, about batsmen playing back to full-length deliveries, and again it hit just over halfway up the stump.
Nice shot. Gonna go for 4.
That's a fine shot from Graham Thorpe, and another boundary. Deceived. Another shot of the highest quality from Graham Thorpe. That's all over for Chris Lewis. Once again, Ambrose hits the stumps. An electrifyingly quick delivery, a little bit low in bounce. England's 7th wicket down.
Chris Lewis trying to get forward again, and then as you see there, the left leg being pulled back into the stumps.
Take that, Courtney.
Well, that was very powerfully hit indeed. That ball was going across the body of Graham Thorpe. Not quickly, of course, it's not a quick pitch, but he played that very well. Powerfully hit, well in front of square. Almost into the mid-wicket region.
Oh, that's found the edge and easily taken by Lara. Superb delivery by Curtly Ambrose, and disappointment from Graham Thorpe. His 4-hour vigil is over and he's been dismissed for 86.
That was excellent bowling by Curtly Ambrose. Graham Thorpe has batted well. He can feel proud of that innings that he has played for himself and for England. Unfortunately not getting to the 100 mark. But that certainly was very, very good bowling from Curtly Ambrose. Short ball going across the body.
Well, that's a good shot by Salisbury. Dug in by Benjamin and pulled away for 4.
That's gone. Brian Lara holds it very safely indeed. His second catch for the day. He's had a lot of work to do at first slip during the course of the morning, and he's held that one off Andy Caddick very capably indeed. Winston Benjamin gets the wicket. It's 294 for 9.
Well, he hasn't looked very comfortable, Andy Caddick. He was given a going over by Curtly Ambrose.
Kenny Benjamin. Well, he's hit that very well. That's not the shot of a tail-ender. And that'll be 4 more. Dropped it. Had the opportunity to have the last laugh to ensure that they wipe off that deficit. And there's 4 more. Magnificent stroke.
Out. Ian Salisbury's resistance finally ending. And yet another slip catch for Brian Lara. Lovely, comfortable height, but safely taken. Absolutely no mistake there. And the final wicket of the innings falling to Courtney Walsh.
Great effort by Ian Salisbury for England. His stay at the crease over an hour and a half. Bit of extra bounce.
Oh, yes. Andrew Caddick, a brilliant return catch. And Richie Richardson is gone. Just an instinctive reflex sticking out of the hand. And Andrew Caddick has got rid of the West Indies captain.
Oh, great start for England this, and a sad blow for West Indies. Well pitched up delivery, never got his feet to the pitch of the ball and just spooned it back. But a great reflex catch. Wonderful reflex.
That's an inside edge from Haynes. It's going to be a long chase for Ian Salisbury. And this outfield really is very quick. So Haynes gets 4 runs. Not the most convincing 4 you'll ever see, but it all looks the same in the book. That's over the top from Brian Lara. No man out there. Hasn't completely middled it. A bit like Brian Lara now too. It's going to be 4 more. I don't think Ian Salisbury's going to catch it.
Oh, that's a magnificent straight drive. He doesn't even move after playing it. That is a superb shot by Lara. That's his 3rd boundary. That's brilliantly taken. Superb catch. Magnificently taken at mid-off. Lara goes. That's the wicket that England wanted. And how jubilant are they? And what a day Ian Salisbury is having.
Well, that's a real bonus for England. It wasn't a brilliant ball from Andrew Caddick. Lara just got underneath the ball a bit too much. Bit too much bottom hand, and a great catch by Ian Salisbury.
But not for long. Desmond Haynes has gone. Beautiful delivery from Chris Lewis. Desmond Haynes beaten all ends up. Absolutely nothing he could do about that. And West Indies' third wicket is down.
That certainly was a very good delivery from Chris Lewis. That ball pitched off stump and hit off stump. Just held its own. Desmond Haynes playing towards the onside.
For England to have to score batting last. Oh, and that has just scuttled through in Graham Hick at second slip for 4.
Full toss this time. That's gone miles in the air. Many a mile. Right onto the cycle track. 6-run signal by Venkat. Keith Arthurton showing everybody his intentions. He doesn't fancy dying bat and pad defensively.
Well, nothing wrong with that at all. He got to the ball, hit it before it pitched, a full toss, and very powerfully hit over long on.
Another full toss and another boundary. England don't need that.
England certainly don't need those full tosses from Salisbury. They don't need to take the pressure off the West Indian batsmen, but although it's never good to bowl a full toss, Salisbury, I think, needs to just control himself a bit.
Oh, that's gone through Lewis. Off another Salisbury no ball, and it go all the way. Halfton down the wicket again. And beautifully played through mid-off. 8 off that Salisbury over. The West Indies 111 for 3.
Well, that's a lovely shot. That'll be 4. Nicely played by Jimmy Adams. Carries him to 29. West Indies now going into the lead by 40.
Yes, a beautifully controlled shot from Jimmy Adams. Weight and timing absolutely perfect. It's been a feature of Jimmy Adams' batting in this series. It's not a question of an extravagant shot being played.
And that's a nice, juicy, long hop outside the off stump, and he's put that away as well. Very delicate deflection for 4. So Jimmy Adams has now taken 3 fours in the last couple of overs from Angus Fraser. He moves on now to 36, up to 124.
Yes, Angus Fraser just marginally offline on this one. And it's a combination of leg glance and inside edge.
Well, that's a fine shot. 4 runs down the ground.
That's high in the air, straight to Alex Stewart. And that's the end of Keith Arthurton. Going for the pull shot, getting it far too high on the bat. That's the England breakthrough they were looking for. The 4th West Indies wicket's down. Confidence in his bowlers. That's gone fine, and 4 more valuable runs to the West Indies cause.
But the top spinner runs on quick. Oh dear.
The full top. Oh, it's unbelievable! He's been caught off Robin Smith. Adams crashed the full toss into Smith at short leg. It smashed into his forearm. He might be seriously injured, but the ball's lobbed up. Jack Russell has taken the catch, and Jimmy Adams is out in an extraordinary manner.
Well, that's the biggest and best slice of luck that England have had on this tour. Very painful for Robin Smith, but unless it's broken or seriously injured, one hopes it isn't. It will certainly be painful, but if it isn't a serious blow, then the disappointment for Jimmy Adams, but what a slice of luck.
He's got it through full toss, so
this end seems to encourage full tosses.
Chanderpaul looking to play that on the onside. It will go all the way. That's it. Taken by Russell behind the stumps. England have the breakthrough. Caddick's the man, and Junior Murray is gone. Andrew Caddick's first 4-wicket haul in Test cricket sees the end of Junior Murray.
As I said before, Caddick certainly has settled into a very good line here, just outside the off stump, just enough movement to hit the outside edge.
Oh, and that's just wide of Hick. Good shot. Yes, he did very well there, Chanderpaul. This ball swinging into him. And he had to get that front leg out of the way pretty quickly to get the bat on it. And in the end, ended up timing it absolutely perfectly. Just pushed it away there through mid-wicket. No ball, hit away over the covers. Stewart will chase that, but I don't think it's going to be with any effect. Indeed it isn't.
That's right over the top and well struck, 4 runs. Well, that's typical Winston Benjamin.
Yeah, it's a good shot. He is a striker of the ball. He doesn't look to necessarily keep it on the ground. It's a nice free-flowing strike over the top. It was meant there.
He's got it fine. Magnificent stroke. That's one of the best strokes we've seen for the match.
Quickly after lunch.
Well, he struck that very well too. 4 more to Benjamin. This is a very important innings by the... Well taken. Angus Fraser to his left. Lewis gets the wicket, and Winston Benjamin goes within a few minutes of the resumption after the rain break for 35. The West Indies are 227 for 6.
Well, the rain interruption did Winston Benjamin no good at all. He lost all his rhythm in batting. He tries to clip that over mid-arm, but he just finds Angus Fraser, who takes the catch.
Well, that's a typical tail-ender stroke, but very effective indeed. Well, he swung once too often. Spectacular dismissal. Curtly Ambrose going for another big one. And once again, the stump not completely out of the ground. And the West Indies are 247 now for 8.
That's a misfield. Not good cricket there from England. 4 very welcome runs to the West Indies, 255 for 8. That's a fine shot from Chanderpaul. It's a chase for Robin Smith. And 4 more runs. And those 4 bring up 50 then for young Shivnarine Chanderpaul. That's high in the air. Fraser at long leg, and he's got it. Well caught, Angus Fraser. So the 50 up for Chanderpaul, but next ball, short ball from Andy Caddick, and Chanderpaul is gone. Oh, that's got to be very close. And out. So that's it. The end of the West Indies second innings. All out now for 269. Courtney Walsh, the last man to go. LBW Lewis, one that kept low again. Courtney Walsh on the back foot. Oh, that's very close first ball. And that's exactly the start that Curtly Ambrose and Richard Richardson would really have dreamed of. Curtly Ambrose absolutely dead on target. The first ball of England's second innings. And Michael Allerton is going to do nothing more for the rest of this game than watch.
The West Indies couldn't have asked for a better start at all. Curtly Ambrose immediately on target. Atherton being hit plumb in front. Well, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Plumb in front, and England lose their first wicket on 0.
First runs for England. Oh, trouble here, trouble. This is absolute disaster for England. And that really is a complete tragedy. Mark Ramprakash is the man run out. England are now 1 for 2. And as Mark Ramprakash came back for a second run there to take on Courtney Walsh's arm, we'll have a look at this in a moment. He found himself with Curtly Ambrose blocking his way, changed his mind. That was where the indecision came in. Tucked away to long leg. Courtney Walsh has 15 yards to his left to make. Ramprakash turns, hesitates. Curtly Ambrose in the middle of the wicket there. Alex Stewart has come. And although the throw is 2 yards off target, that was the result. That's out. Robin Smith has gone. What more can you ask of Curtly Ambrose? If ever you've got a crisis, send for Curtly, and that's the end of the crisis. Robin Smith comprehensively beaten as he played forward. England in complete disarray.
Well, Curtly Ambrose, great fast bowler for the West Indies, has done it again. I've seen Robin Smith get bowled for the second time now in this series on the forward defensive. And each time after the ball has passed, the stroke looks almost correct, but the gap was there, the ball went right through.
Well, that's past Keith Arthurton. And that'll run away for 4. It's a nice shot from Graham Hick, nicely timed. Edged away. It's going to be a test for Winston Benjamin. He's not going to make it. And 4 very precious runs to England. Curtly Ambrose knows it's out. That's a thin little nick from Graham Hick. And this man Ambrose can do absolutely no wrong whatsoever. An indeterminate shot from Graham Hick really hasn't been his day at all. If it's anyone's day, it's certainly Curtly Ambrose's.
Well, just as I said, Curtly Ambrose wouldn't have minded those 3 runs. Graham Hick just pushing at this delivery just outside the off stump. Feet not really moving at all. And Curtly Ambrose does it again. Graham Hick wouldn't want to be seeing this man too often. England now 21 for 4 and not in a very good position at all.
Now.
It's going to beat him to the boundary. That's it. Wicket number 5. Curtly Ambrose strikes once more. The Queen's Park Oval is absolutely jumping. England are 26 for 5.
Well, what a performance by Curtly Ambrose. I've said all along, he's a class act, a truly great bowler. The only great bowler on show. There's some good ones, but great he really is. Fantastic performance. He's just blowing away England. Fast, hostile, accurate. Really played all around that Alex Stewart. The ball didn't do a lot.
That's gone. 6 out. Brian Lara takes the catch at the first slip. England are 27 for 6. An unbelievable collapse here on the Queen's Park Oval. West Indians are jumping around both on and off the field.
Well, this is beginning to be a nightmare for England, a nightmare that won't go away. I mean, who would have believed this would have happened? With a realistic chance of winning for England. Salisbury just hanging out his bat, nice slip catch. And the West Indies bowlers just blowing England away.
It's off the pad. Gone away for 4-leg byes. Shot. Flicked it away off the legs. It's going to go for 4. That's gone. Simmons takes the catch at second slip. England are 37 now. And that is the 7th wicket to have fallen.
Well, it was the ball before that did the damage. Not only to Jack Russell's hand, but in his mind. That's the key to fast bowling. If you can get inside the batsman's mind where he's wary of you, then you've got him, and that's what Curtly Ambrose did. The short ball banged in, Jack turned away, got a knock on his hand, it was painful, and then this was another banging ball, and he really didn't know what he was doing. He just hung the bat out.
And that's it. Curtly Ambrose strikes again. Graham Thorpe is bowled. Ambrose plucks out the stumps once more, and England are 40 for 8.
Well, that scoreboard 40 for 8 is just unbelievable. I mean, I've been saying all along in Guyana and here in Trinidad, these sort of pitches with the ball keeps slow, if you play back often enough, you play back at your peril. Sooner or later, you're going to get a lowish ball. And when you get a low ball at pace, like Ambrose has been bowling and Walsh, then you're in big, big trouble. You see, halfway up the stump, he's been softened up by Courtney Walsh, really, as young Graham Thorpe. He's had a real baptism of fire.
That's gone. Comfortable catch, catching practice. Brian Lara takes it with no bother whatever. England are 45 for 9 with Caddick going for 1.
Well, it wasn't a particularly distinguished shot, just flailing at the ball outside off stump. Once you hang your bat out like that, it's the sort of thing where players on a morning give each other slip catching.
And that's in the air. Benjamin down there for it. The match is over. The West Indies have won. Winston Benjamin taking the catch. England all out for 46, with Lewis caught by Winston Benjamin off Courtney Walsh for 6, leaving Angus Fraser not out, no score, and the West Indies take a 3-love unassailable lead in the series and retain the Wisden Trophy.
All the signs in Barbados suggested humiliation. England had just been thrashed by a West Indian board 11 in Grenada, and the West Indies hadn't been beaten at the Kensington Oval for 59 years.
I think personally it's a great opportunity to break the mould, make some history. You know, the West Indies have got a very strong record here. Well, that record's got to come to an end sometime. It'd be nice if we brought it to an end.
Fighting talk, but no one seriously believed that this England team would even get out of the stalls. It's now 40 years since Barbados' favourite son, Sir Garfield Sobers, first played for the West Indies. The island was already in festive mood, with the celebrations coming to a head during the 4th Test match. None of the great Test players who had gathered to honour Sir Gary had ever seen the West Indies lose here.
I said, we're going to whoop you. Real bad.
For the locals, defeat wasn't even a remote possibility.
Motivational side of things shouldn't be a problem. We've got a big travelling support here. People are obviously playing for their Test futures, with a new chairman of selectors being installed in April. So from a motivation point of view, that shouldn't be a problem.
It looked more like the Kennington Oval than the Kensington Oval. Over 5,000 English fans combined a holiday on the beach with the Test match, and the ovation they gave England's batsmen Mike Atherton and Alex Stewart seemed to have the desired effect. Their first task was to bury the ghost of Trinidad once and for all.
Atherton is absolutely perfect in his technique. Stewart hits a little bit across the ball, but I think that Alex Stewart is about your best player, the quicks, the real quicks, because he moves back and across and take a look. And that's how you have to play real quicks. You've got to move back and across, take a look, and then decide which way you're going from there. But if you get out there and stick your big front foot right down the wicket, then you've committed yourself. And when you're playing against bowlers like Courtney Ambrose, you don't have much time to adjust.
Spurred on by the tremendous support, Mike Atherton and Alex Stewart put on 171, their highest partnership of the tour.
That's it. Alex Stewart's got his 100. Kensington rising to him.
Not a bad way to celebrate your 31st birthday, but once again, England's batsmen failed to build on that start. Robin Smith made 10, before the arch-tormentor Curtly Ambrose blew the tail away.
Always breaks in from lash. We're sorry for Russell, cause this poor fella always in trouble. Curtly Ambrose, Curtly Ambrose.
What Mike Atherton would give for an Ambrose of his own. A captain's job is difficult enough in the field, and throughout the tour the form of England's bowlers had added to his problems. At last, things were about to change.
It's gone on the edge, and it's easily taken by Atherton. That third slip, and Richie Richardson's gone. Oh, that's through, he's got him. Jack Russell takes the catch this time.
It's nice to do well, bowl well and to get the edges. Some days you walk off the field having thought you bowl well and not got the edges, but it was nice that they did today.
Angus Fraser, around whom Atherton's attack had been built, took 8 for 75, the best ever bowling figures by an Englishman against the West Indies, and proved beyond doubt that he's back to his best after an injury which seriously threatened his career 3 years ago. To Graham Hick, at least, Trinidad seemed a million miles away.
It's away and out. High in the air again, Tufnell's underneath it, and he's taken the catch.
England had a lead of 51, but there had been another blemish in the field, and again it was Chanderpaul who was let off the hook. However, the writing was on the wall as far as the locals were concerned. Their proud record was now under threat. Another record and an outstanding achievement. Alex Stewart added 143 to his 118 in the first innings to become the first Englishman ever to score a century in each innings against the West Indies. Graham Thorpe continued his progression with 84, and Graham Hick made 59 when Mike Atherton declared. The realisation had now dawned in all of us that England really could achieve what had seemed to be an impossible dream. The West Indies needed 446 to win, or, more realistically, to bat for over a day to save the match.
He's out. West Indies have lost a wicket. Jimmy Adams goes and Carrick makes the breakthrough. Gone with him. Night watchman out. Graham Hick takes the catch.
I mean, I'd not really said much to the players. I always felt that they were a group of people who wouldn't get too down if things went badly. You obviously bear these things in mind when you select the side. And I felt that there were some quite strong characters in the team. And I felt that with it being young lads who've got test careers to make, I felt even if things went badly, they would all be trying to improve their game, work hard at their game. And so it proved.
Got him! Success for Phil Tufnell. That's what he's been waiting for all day.
The way the crowd kind of behaved, they behaved brilliantly for us all match. The support was fantastic. As there were 2 or 3 wickets to fall on the evening, I think everybody realised what was about to happen. So at the actual moment, I think, you know, it was kind of sinking in well before that.
Makes no mistake, and another 5-wicket haul for Andrew Caddick.
We can win this match, baby. We ain't losing. We win the war already.
That's gone high in the air. Alex Stewart's the man underneath it and takes the catch. And isn't he pleased about that? The 8th wicket goes down.
To Tufnell. West Indies have lost their 9th wicket.
when the last wicket was about to fall, it was very difficult to keep your concentration because all the English crowd were kind of milling onto the outfield, and you knew we were about to kind of make it happen. And then when it did happen, everybody rushed on, and it was all a bit of a blur. And, you know, it was that kind of crazy half hour.
And that's it. All over. England have won.
It's great because, you know, we've been through some tough times and lost 3 test matches. Had some tough hours, particularly the one at Trinidad. So to come back from that, I think everybody was quite proud of what we achieved. You know, showed a great deal of character and resilience. It's just a great feeling, and when you've got that kind of team spirit and togetherness, it's a nice time. Beats the hell out of losing. Scenes in the dressing room afterwards were nice scenes.
We weren't as focused as we should be. We didn't bat as well as we should have. We bowled quite a few no balls, and that really set us back. And England capitalized on that.
England's remarkable performance transformed the mood of the tour virtually overnight. From the depths of despair, a feeling of euphoria overcame all of us who were lucky enough to be able to say, I was there. The demand for photographs is as intense as ever, with the press corps still desperate for that special picture to record the moment of history, and the captain's more than happy. With the tour now into its 4th month, it was important for England's cricketers to be able to unwind at every opportunity. There were just 2 days off between the 4th and 5th test matches as the local tourist industry cashed in on England's travelling supporters.
Feels like day 90 at the moment. You know, these test matches, when they're back-to-back, are very hard work, particularly for the fast bowlers, and for the batsmen, kind of more the mental drain. But, you know, we knew the itinerary before we came out here. It was just a matter of trying to be strong and get through it.
Andre, look for Mummy.
Another welcome distraction was the arrival of many of the players' young families. The demands on a top international cricketer's time are so great that they're seldom at home. Opportunities such as this mean a great deal.
I think it gives most people a bit of a lift. It's nice to see them. I think most of them have come out to Barbados and Antigua, so it's at the end of the trip, so they've been away from them quite a while. It's nice to see them here, and they bring a kind of fresh atmosphere to things.
Just for a change, it was the West Indies who had the problems before the final test. Richie Richardson had pulled a hamstring, and the experienced Desmond Haynes was also ruled out. The second-string openers were dismissed quickly, giving Brian Lara the chance of more time at the crease. But even he wasn't fully fit. He needs an eye operation.
You know, a lot of guys who play whatever sport in the sun do suffer from it, and it's not a major problem. So it does not affect me all the time. If the sun is very bright, it feels like if I got a stone in my eyes or something like that.
All the more incredible, then, that Brian Lara should score 375 and break the world record. However, not even he could steal the show entirely. Antigua is gravy territory. Century number 1, and the feeling all around the ground that there was more to come.
I wasn't as frustrated as I had been in, say, Guyana, where we bowled poorly, because I thought we bowled well in Antigua generally. But the wicket was very flat. He'd set his sights on a big 100, and it's the biggest compliment to him to say it looked also inevitable at the time. People might find that a strange thing to say from a captain of the field inside. But we did our best. We tried to get him out, and there's times when you have to realise you're in the hands of a greater force, and it was his 2 days.
Sir Garfield Sobers watched on from the pavilion. His record, surely the most demanding in the game, had stood virtually unchallenged for 36 years. Lara had 320 to his name. He needed another 46 at the start of play on the 3rd day.
I was really anxious. I was very nervous. I played a few terrible shots before that, but I wanted to get there. That was the main thing. And when I leveled it, I know, well, if I ever share a record with Sir Gary Sobers. That was great enough for me. And when I passed it, well, it was unbelievable.
He's gone for the pole, and there it is. Brian Lara has done it. The new world record holder is Brian Charles Lara of Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, I've never seen Sir Gary play cricket, but what everyone has told me, he's the greatest all-rounder ever, and some have even said he's the greatest batsman that ever played cricket. And to pass his milestone of 365 is the greatest feeling I've ever had. It's the happiest moment of my life.
Well, I just said to him, well done, and hugged him, because he's a very nice boy. I have watched him from the time he started, when he first came to Barbados, playing in the Sir Gary Sobers International Schoolboys competition. And from that day that I saw him, I was shouting his praise, and I was saying to people that he's going to be the best player the West Indies and the world has ever seen. And people laughed at me.
Well, I think it's probably about the best innings I've ever seen. All told, in 2.5 days, he made about 6 false shots.
And this was one of them off the ball, which eventually caused his downfall. For the record, Lara had batted for 6 minutes short of 13 hours for his 375, facing 536 balls and stroking 45 fours.
Take into account conditions, and it wasn't the most testing conditions to play a test match innings. The wicket was flat. Having said that, to bat for 2.5 days and make a handful of poor shots, which he did, maybe 5 or 6 shots that he'd regret, was a phenomenal effort in terms of concentration, technique, and yeah, I'd stand by the comment that I made at the time.
Your point of view, he's a perfect man to break your record.
Well, he's a left-hander too. I don't think many right-handers could play that way.
Oh, really? Well, Lara played several holes of right-handed golf every morning before continuing with his left-handed marathon, bar the last because by then he was too tired. England now had a match to save, as much as anything to prove that their recovery in Barbados hadn't been just a flash in the pan. The West Indies declared on 595 for 5. Another ray of hope for the future in that England fought back under extreme pressure. Atherton featured in a record stand of 303 with Robin Smith, who finally released all his pent-up frustration.
It was nice to see Robin play so well. He's back to his best. I thought it was a super innings, 175. He had some criticism on the rest day from the team manager, and that criticism, as ever, is a constructive criticism. There's no bigger fans of Robin than myself and Fletch. But there's times when you have to refocus on what's necessary and what you have to do when you're playing for England. After all the hard work in Barbados and getting the win there, it would have been a disappointment to lose in Antigua and go home 4-1. We felt 3-1 would have been a much fairer reflection of the series as a whole. So we emphasised the need to fight for a draw there, and that's something England hadn't been doing in the last 12, 18 months. And I thought, despite the fact people will say it was a breeze and that it was a flat wicket, I thought it was a hell of a good effort to get a draw there.
Both teams made exactly the same score. Another unusual statistic to bring a record-breaking tour to a close. Brian Lara's homecoming in Trinidad was spectacular. A new cricketing world champion had been born.
I'm going to be the same player. I'm going to start from zero in all my innings. I don't want anyone to compare me with any great player. These are just figures to me. You know, you have a good day, you have a good couple of days, and you break a record. But I'm going to start all over again, and you know, a lot of pressure is going to be on me from the public worldwide. But as I said, I got to take it in stride and hope that everything works out for me.
The way his season has already started with Warwickshire suggests that Lara might just be able to handle county cricket. A year ago, Mike Atherton returned from Sri Lanka deeply concerned about his England future. Now his whole world has been transformed. The West Indies fast bowlers tried to break his spirit and resolve in Jamaica, but he passed the test and emerged all the stronger for it. Many teams fold completely when morale hits rock bottom, but Atherton's fought back.
I think he's done very well. I mean, there have been no public dramas, but I think there've been the minor ones, the dressing room dramas, which always occur on a tour. And I think Michael's handled them quietly and positively in his own way. And he's shown to me that he can be a very good leader of men. He was always likely to be, because he's been a leader all his life. But people thought that maybe he wasn't quite hard enough. He's a very tough man indeed, and I think he'll captain England for many years to come.
Yeah, I thought he handled the team very, very well, and he was able to command respect from the guys, I think, and I think that is very, very important. And, well, I just like to wish him all the best because, you know, he's a person that I like, and I think that he can do a very good job playing there.
I would say that I was pleased with the response I got from my players. I felt particularly as the tour went on, as I got to know them better and they got to know me better, I felt there was a good spirit coming through within the team, and I felt that at the end, even at the end of a long and arduous tour, you know, there was a hell of a lot of character shown. I'd like to think we can take that through to this summer. And I was pleased with the response that I got, yeah.